Hi class. This week's assignment is the Divine Roles Across Cultures assignment. I'm going to give you a few more tips than I usually do because this assignment, I think, is the one that students find most difficult. But you should be able to get through it just fine. Again, you're working with a template, so you click on this link or here if the link doesn't work, and you bring up this document. You'll be comparing the roles of two divinities, but the divinities will be sharing in the same role. That's the first thing that gives students a problem sometimes. Keep that in mind. You're picking only one role that both divinities share in. So let's say you were selecting divinities of harvest. You could go with Demeter for Greek culture and Osiris for Egyptian culture, and they would be sharing the role of divinities of harvest. Now I'm going to give you an example of how to fill out the matrix. The only thing is I didn't want to use divinities that you'll be looking at because obviously I didn't want to give you the answers. So just imagine that Aragorn from Lord of the Rings and Katniss from Hunger Games are divinities. They're sharing in the role divinities of war. The first box asks you how are they portrayed and what is their role. Portrayal is basically how are they described, and role is self-evident. Now one thing I wanted to ask you to do is please don't cut and paste material from sources to fill in the boxes. I don't want to see quoted material. I want to see your ideas and understand how well you're grasping the information that you came across in our learning activities and discussions for the week. So use your words to fill in these categories. If you find source material, paraphrase it. And let me just show you how to paraphrase in case you're not really clear on that. Let's say this material in the green is material you found on the internet. This is the quote. The ranger Aragorn roamed the wild, often hungry and cold. He was always on the alert, serving as protector of the people in his territory. No one knew that he was of kingly lineage and was destined to be the king of Gondor. Excuse me. So that's source material. That's quoted. It's not your material. But you want to work with it. So then you just paraphrase the work. Aragorn is portrayed as a ranger roaming the wild, suffering greatly from his past. He ensures that all things in his territory are protected from evil. He is destined to be the king and to take on the evil Lord of Mordor. So now it's in your words and it's fine. And what this does is when you paraphrase work, you need to really think about the material that you're paraphrasing to understand it enough to change the words. And that in turn will help me to see how you're processing the information and how well you understand it. So paraphrase, don't quote. So you fill in that. This next one is gender and function. So for function, for Katniss, for example, Katniss is a skillful fighter who defies stereotypes that assume women are weak and depend on men for survival. The next one is attributes or skills and characteristics and objects associated with your selected divinities. For Katniss, for example, we could select the bow and arrow. Definitely an object she's associated with. This next one often is challenging for students only because it's not clear sometimes to them that the divinities that they choose should also interact with divinities within that culture. So for instance, let's say you selected Demeter, as I said, from Greek mythology. Well, then the other divinities that she reacts or interacts with listed here should also be from Greek mythology, like Zeus and Hades and Persephone. So stay within the myth of origin when you discuss interactions for both your divinities. The next one is kind of fun. You're just selecting a contemporary character, either fictional or non-fictional, who reminds you of your divinity, and you're discussing the ideals they represent. Now, the word contemporary means our times. So don't select anybody from biblical times. Work with the last 50 years to give you a little bit of leeway. For these two examples, I selected President Obama for Aragorn. The ideals are that he's an inspiration and a leader, similar to Aragorn. He represents being compassionate and leading by acting. So those are ideals represented by President Obama that can be associated with Aragorn. And they work here, and then the next thing you'll really want to do is discuss whether or not they're attainable, which means whether or not we can be like them. So, for instance, here I write, yes, these ideals are within reach for all of us. We all can try to place ourselves in the shoes of others to understand how they're feeling and to help us to be compassionate, like President Obama and Aragorn, etc., etc. So that's that section. That's the matrix. Then the next thing is just the essay. The only thing I'll say here is please be sure it's 150 to 350 words minimum, and don't rely on quoted work for this. Use your own words. Now, I have focused a little bit on using your own words only because if students, I find, are going to plagiarize, and you've been great, there hasn't been a lot of plagiarism in this class, but if students do copy work, it's often for this assignment. But don't do that. The information students turn to are like homework or work sites. I've seen them all, and I have them all on file. I know the work right away if it's copied work. So don't do that. Just ask me questions, and I'll help you out and help you to get through this assignment if you have any difficulties. Good luck with the assignment. Bye-bye.